I don't really believe that Justin Ross Harris killed Cooper on purpose. I think he's innocent of premeditated murder and got locked up for being a gross, fat, sex-obsessed pervert, which isn't right. There was no real evidence or motive. His ex-wife said I have every reason to hate him. He cheated on me. He humiliated me. He ruined my life. But I don't believe he murdered Cooper. David Scott Illenquist did not set himself on fire, and he did not have intentions of ending his own life. His wife murdered him or played a hand in his death. Carla Hamulka killed Kristen French, not Paul. They are both disgusting individuals, and Bernardo likely would have escalated to murder, albeit accidentally at first, but I maintain it was Carla who killed the girls. We know she killed Tammy with her mixture of improperly monitored and measured drugs. I'm almost certain she hit Kristen with the mallet, and as Kristen was trying to escape, she strangled on the cord wrapped around her neck to keep her tethered to the Hope chest. I am not sure about Leslie. I will say at her second autopsy, the examiner peeled back some skin on her back and observed 2 round bruises on her back, bruises the size of a small woman's knees if she was kneeling on a person's back, perhaps to suffocate the victim. Kenneth Johnson was 100% murdered, but not on purpose. He took off his shoes and climbed up the mat to get his shoes that were wedged in the mat. He grabbed one and tossed it on the floor. He leaned back to grab the other one and someone hit him with a weight in the right spot. That hit paralyzed him and that person thought they knocked him out. They just pushed his now limp body holding his shoe further into the tube to hide him. They threw his shoes down on him and they were sitting on his legs when he was found. He was alive and unable to move or scream, being paralyzed, and slowly died. His shoe eventually fell from his hand, and that's why the blood was underneath the shoe. I have a theory about the Zodiac Killer case. In my opinion, 3 of the suspects, Gary F. Post, Richard Gakowski and Ross Sullivan, worked together. Gary was killing because of his army work and Richard was writing letters to newspapers because he was a journalist. Ross worked at the library, so he had access to every book, including books about forensics. That's why he was removing all the physical evidence according to my theory. Chris Watts didn't act alone. I truly believe that his mistress had something to do with it. In the beginning she reminded me of Amanda Frey, the kind and unknowing mistress of Scott Peterson, but after seeing the messages and search history I started to doubt her innocence. After the murder the police talked to the neighbors and a car that was very similar to Nichols was there. Her phone was also pinged very close to Chris' house. There is also security images that show a person that resembles a woman with a ponytail and purse standing and holding a large bag, most likely containing one of the children, and during the interrogation Nichol has the same bag and the same hair as the footage. Lizzie Borden was innocent. I stand by this. I have read so many books, been to her house, and read through all the court manuscripts. This case has always been a special interest of mine. The biggest evidence that Lizzie is innocent is that she would not have proper time to change her clothes to fit the timeline. Lots of people also point to the fact that Lizzie's story changed all the time. That was because Lizzie was high on morphine. It was said she was so hysterical about her father's death the local doctor gave her morphine to sedate her. Then there is the dress that she burned. There is no evidence that they even saw the color of the paint on the dress, but there was evidence of her watching workers paint the house earlier in the summer. And I never personally understood the claim of red paint as blood, because when blood dries it turns brown, and by the time Lizzie would have burned the dress the blood would have been dried. Terry Hobbs 100% killed all 3 boys involved in the West Memphis 3 case. He had beaten Stevie multiple times, took it too far when he didn't come home in time, and killed the other 2 boys because he panicked and they were witnesses. Columbus, Ohio has a serial killer that either comes into town during the weekend of the Arnold Fitness Expo or only strikes during that weekend. Over the past few years, young gay men turn up dead that weekend like clockwork. Israel Keys has victims in Canada. He had access to a plane that could fly upwards of 500 clicks before needing to refuel and usually departed from Alaska. But the US and Canada either don't care enough to work together on it or the US doesn't care to share. Also, I'd put money on Keys having more bodies than we attribute to him.